You know her face, the snakes, the eyes that turn men to stone. You were handed a monster and told not to ask question. But every monster in every myth was made by someone. And the people who made this one needed you to never learn her name. Her name was Medusa, and this is what they buried. She was born the youngest of three. Her sisters were immortal, deathless, untouchable. Medusa was not. Somewhere in the making of her, the gift was left out. She alone could bleed. She alone could grow old. She alone could die. Imagine growing up beside sisters who could never be hurt, and knowing every day that you could. She was the fragile one, the human one, and she spent her whole life trying to earn a place among things that would outlast her. The other girls in the temple came from noble houses. Medusa came from nothing, and she knew it. So she worked twice as hard to deserve the place they were simply given. She was not powerful, and so she was kind. She learned the names of the people everyone else looked past. The old, the poor, the ones who came to the temple with nothing to offer but their grief. So she gave herself to Athena, goddess of wisdom, of war, of the clear, cold mind. To serve in her temple was the highest honor a mortal woman could reach. For Medusa, it was more than duty. It was belonging. She was first to the temple every morning, and the last to leave. She polished marble that no one would ever look at. She did it because, for the first time in her life, she belonged to something larger than her own small, mortal fear. She tended the sacred flame before dawn. She loved it there. The quiet, the gold light on the columns, the feeling that she had finally found somewhere safe. She thought the temple was the safest place in the world. And on the nights the fear of dying came for her, her sisters would sit with her at the shore until it passed. They could not take it from her, but they never once let her face it alone. There were whole years when she was happy. Hold on to that. Whatever they would turn her into, there was a girl once who was simply glad to be alive. She was about to learn it wasn't. If you have ever been blamed for something that was done to you, if you have ever watched the person who hurt you walk away clean while the world turned its judgment on you, then you already understand her better than the poets ever did. Poseidon, god of the sea, brother to Zeus, one of the three most powerful beings in all creation. There was in all the world almost nothing he could not simply reach out and take. And what he decided he wanted was her. Not because she was a goddess, because she wasn't. Because she had knelt at an altar and called herself untouchable. And to a god, untouchable is only ever a dare. He came to her in Athena's own temple, and in the place she had given her life to keep sacred, he took what he wanted and left. She had done everything right. She had kept every vow, and it did not save her. It has never saved anyone. When Athena learned her temple had been defiled, she was furious. But not at Poseidon. You do not punish a god as powerful as the sea. That would mean a war among the gods. So she looked for someone the punishment would be cheap on. Someone with no army, no ocean, no immortality to hide behind. She looked at the girl on the temple floor, the victim, and she made her pay for the crime committed against her. They did not curse Medusa because she was wicked. They cursed her because she was convenient. Because punishing the powerful is expensive, and punishing the powerless is free. She took the girl's beauty, the thing men had used as their excuse, and turned it into a warning. Hair into serpents, eyes into weapons. From that day, anyone who looked at her would turn to stone. She would never be looked at with love again. She would never be looked at all, and live. They tell you her gaze was a weapon. They never tell you what it was like to carry it. The first time, it was an accident. Someone she knew who turned to speak to her and simply stopped, became grey, became stone mid-sentence, the warmth going out of them while she screamed. Everything she loved, she could now destroy just by looking at it. The loneliest power ever given to anyone, to lose the world every time you raise your eyes. The first man who came to kill her, she tried to save. She heard his boots on the rocks and called out before he could round the stone. "Do not look at me." He thought it was a monster's trick. He looked. And still they came, each one certain he was the hero, each one becoming one more shape in her silent garden of stone. Years passed at the edge of the world. The seasons turned and turned. Her sisters could not follow her into exile, and so for the first time, Medusa was truly alone. At first, she still hoped it might end, that some god might undo it, that someone might come who was not carrying a sword. No one ever did. So she stopped speaking. There was no one left to speak to. She learned the statues by touch in the dark, so she would never have to see the faces of the men her eyes had taken. She bound her own eyes. She learned to live in the dark, not to protect herself, to protect them. The woman they called a monster spent her last years trying not to hurt the very people who came to kill her. And then came the hero. His name was Perseus, a son of Zeus. A king named Polydectes wanted his mother, and the boy stood in the way. So the king sent him off to die with an impossible task. Bring me the head of Medusa. But Perseus did not go alone. The gods armed him, and the goddess who armed him was Athena. The same goddess who cursed her handed her killer a polished shield, a mirror, so he would never have to look Medusa in the eye. Even her death was designed so no one would have to see her. He found her sleeping. He crept close, watching only her reflection in the bronze. And while she slept, alone at the edge of the world, he took her head. And from the wound, from the worst moment of her life, something was born. A winged horse, Pegasus, white as sea foam, rose out of her blood into the sky. Even at the end, she made something beautiful out of what was done to her. It just wasn't for her. Perseus carried her head like a lantern of death, turning armies to stone. And when he was finished, he gave it to Athena, who fixed her face at the center of her shield. Forever. The victim, made into a weapon, made to keep killing long after she was gone. Even that they would use. We called her a monster for 3,000 years. But a monster is only a victim whose story was told by the person who won. So before you believe the next one, ask who was holding the pen. The gods wrote the myth. Tonight, we gave it back to her. But what if it didn't end there? What if, this time, she writes her own? This was Dark Myth Retold. Subscribe and question the story you were told.